everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. My name is Ella and welcome. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Humanitarians of Africa series. We have been sharing amazing stories of super founders, superhumans doing great work across Africa. Today from Cameroon, I have Eliot Etonde. I do not know if I got the pronunciation.
You got the name right.
Okay, perfect.
Pronounced it right.
I have Eliot here with me. She's here to share her story of the amazing work she does with women in Cameroon. Eliot, thank you so much for joining me today. It's amazing. Super excited
for having me on board.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. So how is Cameroon today? How is everything going on today in Cameroon? What's the atmosphere like?
Cameroon is quite calm today. We are in the rainy season, so we are shuffling between the little bit of sunshine and a lot of winds. But today's weather is more chilly.
Wonderful.
Fresh, cool. It's been drizzling, but it ceased.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so who is Eliot? What does she do? What exactly is it that is so beautiful and exciting about you? Can we meet you? Please let us introduce yourself. Let's meet you, please.
Okay, so Etonde Eliot. I'm Etonde Eliot. I'm the founder of IREBUILD Africa. Founder of IREBUILD Africa and the director of She Leads Career Center, a Cameroonian by nationality. And I studied women and gender studies at the University of Boya in Cameroon. It's a double major program, so I studied gender and sociology. My amazing journey of work to where I am today for the past 13 years has been working with 4 NGOs. I've worked with 4 women-led NGOs. Now that we talk about it,
I saw that.
Yeah, 4 women-led NGOs. I probably started my career journey with an empty CV. After my high school, I enrolled at the university. I was accepted, but then my application was turned down, and so I have 1 year to be at home to reapply again. And I thought to myself, okay, rather than being at home, why not just go somewhere volunteer? And that's how I found myself in my first NGO, which was Cameroon.
Wow.
And when I got there, I still remember my interview was funny because I had an empty CV. I just had school. And
no experience.
No experience. And she was no experience, no skill. I'm like, I'm a fast learner. Just put me in any department and I'm willing to go. So the first 3 months, I was at the administrative department. I did a great job. But again, being as curious as I was, the organization had an orphan and vulnerable children department and it had a gender unit. So I was always in those 2 departments. And the departmental heads, they were always calling me. I sat in their planning meetings, they gave me tasks. And when my boss wanted to recruit me as an administrative assistant, I refused. And I said I wanted to go to the gender unit. I was like, okay. And working with her for 2 years, then went back to the university. And while at the university, I was working with other organizations. So while at the university, I was working with other organizations, and that's how I was able to build a 12 to 13 years work experience. But again, my greatest passion about what intrigues me more about what I do was first my experience as a single mom. Yeah, I'm a teenage mom. I had my son when I was 16 and now he's 16. So we are dealing with teenage issues. I did not sign up for that, but it's part of what parenting comes with. So it starts with my experience as a single mom, not knowing teenage mom. I think I'll prefer using that. I don't know anything about raising kids. I know there's a baby growing inside of me. And it was tough because I went to there were close friends of mine whose parents didn't want them to work with me. I had cousins who, just being pushed to the corner because you're having a child at 16. And good thing is I had my nuclear family, which was with me, who stood by me, which gave me, especially, my dad is not so advanced in academics, but he has always wanted he gave his children the best education. So even when life was beating me, I switched my brain from being a mom, accepting the reality of being a mom, which I don't know what it comprises of, and dropping out of school, but my parents ensured that I went back to school. And it was also a tough time because my dad went and my parents were fine. And also growing up in a neighborhood where physical abuse was considered loving on your partner. So I grew up in the Cameroon, and in a community where for a man to show his wife that he loves her, he has to be the living daylight. So women find it difficult if you're in a relationship with a man and doesn't do to like means
My God.
enough. And that really pissed me off why. And so all of that started giving me a burning passion to want to be with young women, to want to be with young girls. I knew that was something each time I saw, I got upset, but I really could not articulate that was what I wanted to do. I met this women-led organizations, there was women and gender studies. I was like, okay, this is my chance to study something that is going to help me stop this madness that's happening in this community, and also the craziness going on in all the abuse that women keep going through and the inequality that women go through in our community. So that's how my entire journey has been. And then we started IREBUILD Africa. IREBUILD Africa is most interestingly an affirmation. So each time you say IREBUILD Africa, is the Africa that I want to see. So that's the name, IREBUILD Africa. We started IREBUILD Africa in 2017. 2017, I worked with a group of 45 single mothers in a village, in a village called Ndeley. And the good thing about working with them is I had one of my boss who so much loves the project, and so she ensured she accompanied me to those villages to work with them. And unfortunately, with the political crisis that broke out in the south and northwest region of Cameroon, places were not safe. So I had to move to the French with my son. I had to move to the French part of the country for him to continue his education, because education was paused on a pause in the north and southwest region of the country because of the gunshots and stuff that were going on. So basically, that's Eliot. That's Eliot. That's the journey I've been through for the past 13 years. Yeah.
Wow, that just summarized everything, you know, and you just brought in the bits and pieces and everything. I'm wondering how exactly it was for you growing up as a young girl in such an environment where everything was just happening all at once. Now, apart from your own personal experience with getting pregnant and wanting to have a child, there was the political environment that was unstable, and then you had your own plans, your own vision, you know, and everything. How were you able to maintain sanity in that whole turmoil? How were you able to maintain it and just remain focused to become who you are today, to be able to tell this story?
Two set of persons, one, my family, and most importantly, I think God blessed me with the best friends ever. You know, I had friends who were extremely supportive. If I finished university, it was because of them. Because many times I wanted to drop out. Like it was too tough. It was too tough studying, and they were my greatest encouragement. You know, and also the fact that I needed to finish school to get a job and take care of a young man I was bringing into the world. But every day was a battle of the mind. Every day was a battle of the mind. I had to choose. There's something we say here in Cameroon, especially from the region where I'm from. They say in pidgin English, they say "person wey dey cry dey see road." It means someone who is crying and walking. When you're crying and walking the street, you actually still look at where you put your foot, you know. Definitely. So life did not give me an option to give up. I did not have that option to give up. I had the option to fight. And I think I suppressed a lot of the trauma and the depression I was going through. I quite remember in 2009, 2009, I had a mental breakdown because it was too much that I was going through. It was so many things happening. And I mean, I had parents who would talk to, I had friends I cried to, and even in 2010 was lost. 2010, I think there was a time I literally just had to disappear. I literally had to disappear like for a week. I think just my best friend knew where I was because the whole world was against me and everything was so tough on my path that I had to remind myself about one, my son, two, the sacrifice that my friends and my family have have made to make me continue the journey, and I had to hold on to that.
Wonderful. I'm happy that you had supportive people and you're alive and here today to tell your story, because your story is going to build someone else up and give the person courage to keep going on. So would you say that your experience while growing up pushed you or was a source of motivation to starting your nonprofit? Would you say that's so that's a basic motivation for you?
That's a basic motivation. Despite the fact that I had a child at 16, I also was in a community where I got to understand why young girls who had kids at a tender age ended up having more kids. I remember when I was in Form 3, I had one of my desk mates who became pregnant. She stopped school, and I did not understand why she stopped school. You know, I know you're a child, but you can still go back to school. And she, like, now she has 4 kids. She has 4 kids now. And so I grew up in a community where, apart from her, I saw young girls get pregnant and then they automatically became wives. So either you become a teenage mom, and then you keep having kids, or you move to the boy's family. You move in with the boy, and you guys keep having kids, and you figure all your way, or you probably move in with the second baby daddy. So having a kid at teenage age was an equivalent of getting married. And I watched these girls' life being put on a hold. Now you will find them doing petite rates. You know, you find them doing petite rates and their lives is just, so that was my greatest mission, like giving single mothers, giving teenage mothers, giving disadvantaged young girls a chance to go back and relive their dreams. I believe that every woman, every girl child, despite their predicament, should be given a second chance. And that there should be systems that welcome, systems and safe places that is ready to welcome them, build their mental health, build their personal development, their career, and let them be given a second chance to become who they want to be.
Wonderful, wonderful. So from 2017 till now, what has been the impact that IREBUILD Africa has been able to make in the lives of the girls and the women all around in Cameroon? What's the impact like?
2017 to now, we've reached out to over 1,000 women in rural communities. We've worked with schools, we've gone into rural communities. I remember my first project was in 2018. It was a 10-month fully funded project for single mothers to learn a hands-on skill, tailoring and hairdressing. By then, I had a job, and actually my salary could not pay. So in making it fully funded, I had a couple of friends who were running a salon, hairdressing salon, and those who were doing tailoring. And so we had to put those women in there, those single mothers in there. And they were like, okay, this is my own contribution that I can give. And that's what that project successful. We've worked with women in Tole. So with over 1,000 more women that we've empowered, 45% of them were teenage mothers, 15 were disadvantaged young girls, and 40 were women in general, young women, widows in communities in general. And we've worked with them on income generating activities. We've worked with them on creating gender-based violence awareness and sexual reproductive health. And looking back at these women, I find them, I would say we found there were about 45 to 50% who are now financially
Wow.
viable, who are running their business, who have brought in sisters or cousins and who have trained them, so now they can have chance. We've had single mothers who have gone back to school. We've had young girls who have been able to think for themselves. We've had young girls who've able to think for themselves. We've had women change their perspective and not stigmatize the other women, though we are still going to find traces of stigma in the community, but at least they're having that consciousness that as a woman, I'm supposed to support each other. I'm supposed to support the other woman, despite her predicament. I'm supposed to have her back. So 1,000 plus women empowered in IREBUILD Africa gives me a reason not to stop.
You don't have to stop. You can't even stop. I won't allow you stop.
I know.
Is a lot. It's a lot. That's 1,000 lives and destinies touched and changed. That's really, really amazing. Well done. So when we were talking earlier, you were mentioning your growing up experience and all of that. And I wanted to know, which I'm sure that people would also want to know, what is it like to run an organization in a country that is as unstable as Cameroon? Because now, apart from having to think of the people you want to touch, you now have to think of your own safety and having to think of safety of your volunteers or the people that you work with. What exactly is that whole experience like generally?
Strategizing projects to reach out to people, to community members in a warring zone is very, very hard, because you have to fight, you have to learn how to survive between two parties, and we are always the people who get the stray bullet. But again, there are still people who are still in those communities. Not everybody moved out. And so what we do is partner with them. What we do is partner with people. So those who already have sister organizations, partner organizations who are already in the Northwest and in the Southwest who are doing work, we can come up with a project, we work together. We can give technical support from our end. We can displace ourselves and go there and carry on the work. But again, there are some safety protocols which you have to do. You have to make sure that the government knows. You have to make sure that the community is aware. You have to be careful of what kind of project, and you have to run that project as an organization and not a member of either the government or the other party. You have to make sure to survive, you have to stay neutral. It doesn't have to involve any politics. Being in the French zone where I had to run for safety, and that was also principally because I slept in the office. When I was in the Southwest, I slept in the office twice because of gunshots. I spent 2 days at the office. I couldn't go home. So you are sleeping under the table and then you're hungry, but you can't cry of hunger when there's gunshot in the midst of your life. But also being here in Yaoundé in a French zone, I also understand that there are internally displaced persons like me. Some of us could have moved here and it was easy to pick on something, but there are other young women who came in, young girls who came in who worked as house help, worked in bars, and who were abused, who are stranded. So we also reach out to those who are internally displaced. And the last part of the question, which was about how do we deal with safety with the team, is we always have to check with the other indigenous residing in those zones and find out, okay, how safe is it for us to come? How safe is it for us to come for a project and just do what the indigenous say? Just listen to the advice. If they say by 6 p.m. they don't want to see anybody else, 6 p.m. don't be out. They say it's a lockdown. If it's a lockdown for 3 days, it's a lockdown. Everybody stay at home. Prepare for the lockdown. Be at home for after 3 days. We can go back to the field. But we try as much to ensure to do everything that can guarantee our security and our safety for us and for our family as well.
Wonderful. Everyone has to be safety conscious, because safety first. If you're not safe, then you can't help the people that you have to help. So now let's go deeper into your organization. Could you tell us about your the case management space, but I think the GBV case management safe space. Do you mind telling us?
So this is the fresh plate we have on our table, which we've been working so much, and we started with a little key aspect. So the first key aspect of it, which is called keep her safe, which is keep her safe. The GBV case management safe space is a platform to help GBV survivors, the survivors of gender-based violence, and we are starting by first of all calling it intimate partner violence. So in order for us to better infiltrate the young community, what do I mean by this? When we talk about gender-based violence, most of our young folks or young girls here think you have to be married. You have to be married, you have to be in courtship, then you experience that. So even while they're in relationships, they go through intimate partner violence, and they just think, well, it's just some of the things that happen in relationship. Then you have to act right to get the ring, and then you enter now into the bigger picture, which is gender-based violence. Yeah, and it gets worse. So we started with the keep her safe. And this is the first component of the gender-based violence case management safe space, which is all about creating a place where women who are victims, young girls who are victims of intimate partner violence can run to for legal assistance, can help run to for livelihood support. Yeah, so we started with the keep her safe, which we launched. The first launch, we had over 30 young girls, which we mobilized and we educated them on what intimate partner is, intimate partner violence, what it looks like when it comes to dating violence and relationship. Let's start addressing it from that room, so that if you're getting married tomorrow, you're conscious of what you're walking in. You know how to identify the red flags and the green flags. This whole first component aspect or structure of the keep her safe, we are focusing with young girls. So we are focusing with secondary schools, we are focusing with university students, we are focusing with young professional job seekers, young ladies out there from 14 to 35. 14, and I know you'll be asking, like, why 14? Well, now we're in a generation where that even at 13 or 12, young girls
even at 10, I've heard stories of 10.
Yeah, they are falling in love. They are falling in love, and there's been an uprising. There's been a rise of intimate partner violence, especially with young girls. Either they're leaking out, they might be in a relationship with a boy, they're leaking, or the boy might be leaking out their nudes. There is sex tapes, there's sex abuse, which is going on the rise. There are young girls of 15 years who are committing suicide, maybe because their parents stopped them from continuing the relationship they are with. There are young girls of 13 who run away from home to live in a boy's house as do wifey material. So it's all crazy out there, and that's why we are coming up with a keep her safe to tell them not only about intimate partner, but the ills also of early marriages. Because the moment you're living 13 or 14, you're moving into a man's house, that's already early marriage before it's been legalized or not. So creating that awareness, putting them also in a place of understanding emotional intelligence, so they know how to be emotionally disciplined and not just make decisions like that, personal development, and also empower them to groom their minds so that they can have a vision for themselves. And also in that light, now we have a spot where those who are victims, those who do not know how to go about breaking up or moving away, they can run to. We can counsel them, we can walk them through. Those who need legal assistance, because sometimes they want to leave 18-year-old and they're watching their boyfriend beat them and is threatening. They need legal assistance, and they need us to raise the alarm. Yesterday, I witnessed 2 secondary school. One boy from another school was having another secondary school girl beat up mercilessly on the road because they were like 15, 16, in the name of he thinks she's cheating on her. So, so we're having intimate partner violence among youth on the rise. And that's why we are starting. We want to address it from the level of the young girls, so that while they are being conscious of what this is, they will not be accepting violence in any other form when they are getting married. And those who want to leave, those who do not know that what they experience, now they are aware, and then we can help walk them out of it.
Wonderful.
that's the concept about the GBV case management space, safe space.
Wonderful, wonderful. I can imagine how impactful this would be, because really a lot of people, some I have interviewed, some who are also friends of mine that work with young girls, you get to hear of this intimate partner violence at, gosh, they're so young. You'll be wondering what a 12-year-old is thinking of what are you thinking of a relationship at 12?
I mean,
and it's crazy, but then it's the world that we find ourselves in right now. Things are advanced faster than our own time, and that's really, really ridiculous. So, can you tell us, where do you see your organization in the next 5 years? Let's look futuristic. Where do you what hopes do you have for IREBUILD Africa? Let's look at 5 years.
5 years from now. 5 years from now, IREBUILD Africa should own. IREBUILD Africa should own a big structure, a big structure where we can flexibly and easily run income generating activities, because now we do not have a very large space. So whenever we have those activities, we need to rent another hall, mobilize them, and have them trained or do their placement. 5 years from now, we should have a structure where women can come in, where we can easily and freely give income generating activities there for women for free, equipped. We need to have a sector which is going to have a library, for women, and also a talent, a skills acquisition. Yes, a skills center. You have the right word. A skills center, and this is also, and most importantly, a dream incubator. Yes, a dream incubator is going to be. That's one of the things we've been dreaming for the past. We've been working on progressively recently, is having that dream incubator where young women can come in, where they are going to be coached in order to relive their dreams. It has to be a place where we coach, we help you build the skills, we connect you with the people that can help you grow. So that's IREBUILD Africa 5 years from now. 5 years from now, the other thing we look forward is to have created 10 safe spaces for women in rural communities. Rural communities, where in urban or peri-urban, people have Android phone, they have access to the internet, they have access to these facilities. But in rural community, they don't. In rural community, if they're going through hardship, they know we go through hardship. We try to survive through it, but again, the mental health, the psychological trauma, depression that you have to deal with. So we want to open, we need to have 10 focal points there which are trained in those communities that can run these centers. So that's IREBUILD Africa 5 years from now.
You sure have big dreams, and I'm going to definitely dream along with you. And I hope and pray that if in the next 5 years, this is no longer a dream, but a reality, because these things will definitely impact the lives of the young women that are in Cameroon. And I can't wait to see the safe space for young girls. That would really be amazing.
We need a big infrastructure.
I know. So talking about challenges, apart from the obvious challenges of funding, what other challenges do you face running your nonprofit? So far, what challenges have you faced?
Dealing with men and dealing in a community with a patriarchal mindset.
Tell me about it.
It's tough. Okay, so I mean, we've gone to a community once, and even the women don't see the essence of empowering themselves. It's like, why you? So it's like what we are pitching sounded so beautiful to destroy their homes. So they were just okay, I'm going to work. So in this community, most of the women are breadwinners. Okay. So they are breadwinners. When they go to the farm, they harvest their produce, they sell, they come back and they give the house the money, all of the money to the husband.
And this man will still hit them.
Yeah. So they will give him the money. They will give him the money, and then if he's in a good mood, good thing for you, you're going to have pocket allowance to do your hair. And you have to give that money. You have to take care of the children going to school. It's just a swap of roles, but he's still there as the figurehead. So patriarchal mindset is hard. Many people have a misconception of what women empowerment is all about. So when you come into a community, sometimes we'll have women tell us, oh, no, we can't have that. We can't have that. You're coming to teach us to be disrespectful to our husbands. You know, I went to the far north. I was at the far north for a week training, and the northern part of the country, down the way for a week training. And when I got there, first of all, I had to meet with some community heads.
Yeah.
To talk about the training. And there was this association of Christian lecturers, and when I met them, the lady looked at me and laughed, and she said, what you're coming to do is tough. I don't know who encouraged you to come to this community. But mind you, women don't stand in this community and talk. So I don't know how you're going to pave your way around. I met the senior pastor of their big ministry there. He laughs and he says, see, I've been in this ministry, I've been in this community for over 15 years. I've been trying to beg women to take even the least lead in anything, and they refuse. So good luck. We don't know how you're going to do that. But the strategy was to organize a skills training, soft skills training, but we made it for both sexes. And day one, on Monday, we get to the hall. Okay, there's just one lady in the hall, and all are men. And immediately I first got to the hall, they all came frowned because by my name, actually my name sounds so masculine.
Yeah.
So when they heard that Etonde Eliot was coming, they were expecting to see a man. Then, well, unfortunate, I came in, woman. So first of all, when we started, it was challenging. The first 2 days, it was just one lady who was there, and the men were frowning, the boys were frowning, like, okay, why is she training? But again, I break down the concept I break down the training to be engaging, to be fun, and they became relaxed. So by the third day, we had young girls who were joining. So even the senior pastor was sending young girls to come and attend. And I had to do a lot of group work. And in that group work, most often I put the young girls to be there to lead the group. So sometimes you could see the battle. You could see the battle, like, okay, she's leading, and they want to tell you how you're going to think and what you're supposed to write. But again, you have to break those mindset by not just shouting at them and say, hey, you guys should let the woman, she's equal than you. No, I'm equal as you. You have to make them understand that, okay, this is teamwork. At this part, the sexism and your gender, it doesn't matter. We need to get this done. And it was easier for them to do that. So it's a patriarchal mindset. Some women are like, oh, they think that the whole concept of women empowerment is setting them up to fight their husbands. And that's why you see almost everywhere with them women who are empowering themselves to be feminists, or women who advocate to be feminists. And we're like, just because a woman could stand and invest in herself doesn't make her a feminist. So like we say, poverty has the face of a woman. It's because, so like I said, the greatest thing I faced so far running an organization, a women-led organization, is the patriarchal mindset, which is not only something you face from the men, but also from the women.
Because they are used to that.
They are used to
environment. Wonderful. Yeah.
That's a norm that they grew up to know, and the truth that they grew up to know that this is it. This is how it has to be. So penetrating, we first of all have to make them understand that you do not empower yourself, or we do not empower women to go pick fights with their husbands. We empower women so that they can contribute also to their homes and to the nation building and to development. So because when a woman is financially, and I keep telling women this, when you're economically empowered, do not go pick fights with your husband, okay? Because someday if you're married, let's look at this, someday you're married to a man and you're not working, you're just a housewife, something happens to him and their kids, and he's no more. How do you go about it?
Survive.
How do you survive? But when you understand that, all right, I'm empowering myself, I'm bringing something to the table, we can both build how we want our family, we can both save. So understanding that when you're empowering yourself, it's not to pick a fight with the opposite sex. When you're empowering yourself, it's to contribute. If you're in a union with them, it's to contribute. If you're not yet married, it's your responsibility. It is self-responsibility to be empowered as an individual. Before we start talking about if you're a woman or a man, you need to be self-empowered. It's part of your self-responsibility. So that's breaking those myths so that people get to understand that we are not raising a generation to go pick fights.
So you have to work on their mindset even as you're trying to help them. And I know that that's generally an issue that most African nonprofits face because of our cultural values, our societal norms, and all of that. Okay, that seems something like you can cope with. I know you can definitely cope with it because you've already started solving that and breaking into the minds of the people, and that's amazing. So before I finally let you go, are there any programs or any events that you would need support of the audience or anyone that is going to come across this video? Any particular programs you want to gather support for that you're working on at the moment?
Yes, keep us safe.
Okay, please.
Keep us safe. With the keep us safe, right now we are trying to raise funds to print out 1,000 booklets, educative booklets for young girls to share in school, school clubs, girls club to empower them, and also brochures for university students and cartoon booklets, educative cartoon booklets for young girls, for the young girls that we teach them on abstinence, that teaches them on abstinence and body hygiene and stuff. So right now we're in the process of raising funds because we are looking already at 5,000 copies, which we need to penetrate, and that's where we need the greatest support to be able to pursue those things. And yeah, those are the key things. Every other thing about the system, building a system, a technical team, we have a technical team, but we need also more hands for the technical team. So we need people, experienced people who want to come in and help with the technical advice, help us in strategic planning for the full kickoff.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, everyone. So you have heard it from Eliot today. If you can support in any form, so you want to support through your services, your skills, or you want to donate some cash, or you want to help in printing out these materials that is going to be very resourceful in reaching out to the girls in Cameroon, please, as usual, you would find every detail to reach out in the description box and also on your screen. So check any of the two options, and please feel free to donate anonymously, donate in person, whichever way, send an email, everything. Please, as usual, share, donate, spread the word, because like I would always say, there is always someone within your network that might have interest in what any organization is doing. You don't know what is in someone's mind, but then with your little help of sharing somewhere, you can spread the word and help save the life of one young girl in Cameroon. Okay, so we have finally come to the end of today's session. I had an amazing time listening to the story of you growing up and everything, including the whole atmosphere of patriarchy in Cameroon. It's really amazing to see that you're doing a lot of work, and I must commend you for the work you're doing. Thank you so much for joining me in today's session, and I look forward to doing so much more with you.
Thank you, Ella. Thank you for giving me a chance to share my story.
Anytime.
And thanks for having us on your platform.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So guys, thank you so much again for joining us. Do not forget to subscribe, share, WhatsApp stories, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Share, so that someone can hear this story and want to support. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.
Bye.